Thank you, Dan. What a great meeting you've assembled here, and congratulations on a wonderful meeting and a wonderful year. And Coy, what a scientific program your committee and you've gotten together. My name is Tumialán. I am the chair of the Council of State Neurosurgical Societies, where we have the singular focus of providing the definitive socioeconomic content that will benefit neurosurgery. And the Section 6001 of the Affordable Care Act, what does that mean? That means that no one in this audience can be an owner of a hospital, a Medicare, Medicaid receiving hospital, and that has been legislated and is the law of the land. I knew nothing about this until a couple years ago, and I'll tell you that quick story. But I did something which you should never do, which is to change your talk as you, right before giving it. But Dan Resnick, our honor guest, inspired me to do so because he had a lot of cautionary words with which I agree with. And Dan has been a friend throughout the years. He has, this is us with Jack Knightley right before we fell off a cliff. This is the 2020 meeting, which was the last meeting we were able to have for about a year and a half. But also, I have a kindred spirit with Dan. This is my greatest honor that I've received, that Ed Benzel gave me, to run fast in the wrong direction award at the Cleveland Clinic last year. And just because you're running hard and fast in the wrong direction doesn't mean you're lost. It means you're getting an altered path to enlightenment. And Dan gave us a very powerful visual image yesterday. He talked about a burning barn and how we need to do something about it, or that something may not be done. And I want to reach out to Dan. Dan, this one's for you. This is to see if we can rally, connect as our president has told us to. A couple years ago in Washington, D.C., I gave a talk about the value of the neurosurgeon, and I missed it. And someone in the audience came to me and said, Lou, you completely missed what you should have covered. I talked about trauma stipends, stroke stipends, ASCs, and co-management. And my colleague said, you didn't talk about Section 6001. I go, what's Section 6001? So this is the story. Let's go back to 2009. We all remember this era where it was a very volatile time in our socioeconomic and healthcare industry, where we were trying to determine, is there going to be a governmental intrusion? Is it going to be a single payer? Is healthcare a right or a privilege? If you have your doctor, can you keep your doctor, provided that private equity doesn't acquire it? So during that time, and timing is everything, Atul Gawande, a wonderful writer, wrote a paper called The Cost Conundrum. And the cost conundrum goes and oversimplifies, in my opinion, a environment in Texas where there's a city, McAllen, Texas, has a physician-owned hospital. And the rhetoric that he uses, and look, the Mayo Clinic, a lot of my friends are at the Mayo Clinic, and they have a wonderful model. But it's not the only model. But in this case, it's a vilification of a physician-owned hospital in one town in America, and you can read, as well as I can highlight here, the words that are being used that really paints a dastardly picture for anything physician-owned, when in reality the data is quite different. And so this article lands in the lap of Barack Obama, is placed into a staffer places it into his hand, and that the New York Times article that describes how he responded to this said, holding the article and put it in front of the Democratic senators, was, this is what we have to fix. The problem in healthcare is physician-owned hospitals. And then there we have the gloating Nancy Pelosi, who now is going to read this 11,000-page bill that is being signed, and here he reads studiously, studying the signature line, and the vice president doing whatever it is the vice president does. So Section 6001 is now the law of the land. No one in this room can be part of hospital ownership. It's effectively limited it. Now, those individuals who own, their grandfather, which is important because they become a study case for us. Forget what the opinions are on this. Let's go to the rest of the story, because we want to look at the data. And the data of the 250 physician-owned hospitals that remain clearly state, compared to an ocean of 5,000 non-physician-owned hospitals, shows that 9 out of the top 10 were physician-owned, the top-performing hospitals for cost, quality, and access to care. If you expand the stretch to 100, 48 of the top 100 are physician-owned. That's not the story Atul Gawande gave us. So it overly simplified and created a negative narrative that detrimentally impacted us. And then we have seen what happens when you eliminate competition. So let me take you quickly to the island of Hawaii. It's the late 19th century, and their cash crop is sugarcane. Tourism isn't big when you can't fly there. But they have a problem. They have rats. So a biologist said, hey, we can't have these rats eating our sugar cane. Let's do something about it. So they go from sub-Saharan Africa and bring the Indian mongoose. So the Indian mongoose does the job and gets the rats. It also, since it has no predator, gets the local fauna, and an ecological disaster happens. And Dan, this is where your talk gave us a lot of cautionary words. This is exactly what did happen. Hospital consolidation, loss of competition, acquisition of physician practices, decreased patient satisfaction, the burnout that Dan Ho talked about, higher prices. This was not the realization of the Affordable Care Act to increase quality, increase access, and decrease cost. So it is only common sense to repeal Section 6001, but then individuals will kind of roll their eyes and look, we don't have a chance at doing something like that. Well, there was a young British author who emigrated to this country and said, you know, there's something absurd supposing that a continent can be governed by an island perpetually. And in 46 pages assembled a common sense treaty, 46 pages. And when General George Washington met him in the Continental Army, he said, the young author who started this whole thing. We can do that in the age of social media. This is Dave Carroll, who traveled with United. He's a singer-songwriter who had his guitar broken by United. 9 months trying to navigate the corridors. Wrote a song called United Breaks Guitars. 150,000 hits day 1, 1 million hits day 3. What happens to the stock price? Do you know how many guitars you can buy for $180 million? This is the impact that can have if we all connect, like our president told us to. And this is... So this is what we need Dan Resnick to do, to write a song that's going to go viral that allows us to do this. So how do we get there? We know that physician ownership is going to make healthcare better. The data speaks for itself. We can be part of this. We can connect. We have to listen to the cautionary words of a seasoned veteran, Dan Resnick, and the aspirational words of our president and connect. What we have to do is reach out to our representatives. It's easier than it sounds. This is John Ratliff and Bharat Guthakonda meeting with Senator Cassidy in Boston. He encouraged us to reach out to representatives. That's me on a Zoom call with the congressional aide for Senator Kelly. If we listen to the words of our leaders, we can connect, we can do this, we can repeal Section 6001. Thank you.